This morning we're in Ecclesiastes chapter 3. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, and this is a very familiar passage because it comes out in a lot of different ways. Some people have written songs using these lyrics and things like that. And so, yet at the same time, I want you to recognize that life is filled with appointments that God has ordained, and whether we have prepared for those appointments or not, the seasons of our lives are going to change. Nothing is permanently in place forever. Even life has cycles in it where we're young and we're full of energy and strength, and then we're not so young and we're not so filled with energy and strength, and eventually the season of our lives comes to an end. At least in this physical world here where we began. And so life eternal is there. I mean, everyone's going to live eternally, whether they live with God in heaven or live in hell away from God. And that's going to be our own choice. We're going to either choose Christ and live in heaven with God, or we're not going to. And so there's a season to life, and even this physical must put on that immortal type of existence that God speaks about. But listen to what Solomon says about what happens from birth to the grave for all of us. He says, to everything, verse number 1, chapter number 3, it says, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under heaven. There's a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted. And so even harvests have a season, or plants have a season till their harvest. And there's a time to kill and a time to heal. There's a time to break down and a time to build up. A time to weep and a time to laugh, and a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to get and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away, a time to rend and a time to sow, and a time to keep silence and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. And so we have all these different things, and he wasn't saying, well, these are the only things that are seasonal. And he doesn't say that in every circumstance, everything goes from love to hate or hate to love or things like that. He's really saying that there are different times for different things. And it's really a blessing to hear this, because especially when you're on the negative side, like when you're in a time of mourning, mourning is not supposed to be something that characterizes the rest of your life. And now it might be a point in life that changed your life. Now, think about that. Losses change our lives, but they're not supposed to characterize the rest of our lives. Because it says in every loss, there's going to be the flip side of that. There's going to be opportunity to grow. There's going to be a time to build back up. There's going to be a time to find love again, and things like that. See, so Solomon is on to something that's really important for us to recognize, especially for the one listening this morning that's in a time of great despair. Walk with God. If you'll walk with God, it's only a season, and you can rebuild again. God is with you, and he wants you to rebuild again. You may not be able to rebuild the way it was, but you certainly can rebuild to what it should be now. And so please keep that in mind, that you are not to be paralyzed in one season for the rest of your life. And so remember that everything you're going through in life, there is a season. So don't be shocked when a really good season comes to an end. Don't be shocked when a loved one has lived out the duration of their days and it's time for them to move on into eternity. Don't be shocked when this terrible circumstance comes, because there are seasons. Therefore, our growth, there are seasons that help us become who we need to be for what God wants to do with us. Even though we wouldn't choose them, God has chosen them for us so that he can make us into what he wants us to be. And so remember that even the hard things in our lives are seasonal, but also remember that some of the best things in our lives, they have a duration as well. So walk with God to maximize the good and to minimize the effects of the losses. And so I want to encourage you with that today. Remember, there's appointments in life that we cannot change, but they're also seasonal, and so they will change. Have a great day.